rather than raising the debt ceiling by a specific amount, which I think is the right way to do this, and the way that Congress has usually done this in the past, the deal raises it. It suspends the debt ceiling altogether through January 1st, 2025. It grants the Treasury authority to issue debt without any numerical limit to restrain its appetite. It's a carte blanche, a blank check of sorts for the government to spend, to borrow more money without accountability. This deal begs the question, with Republicans like these, who needs Democrats? We deserve better. We deserve a deal that genuinely reflects the urgency of our economic challenges and delivers meaningful results. To grant such a colossal debt ceiling increase while settling for a mere $12 billion in immediate savings is also an act of fiscal irresponsibility and betrayal of the trust placed in us by those who elected us. Equally disheartening is the state of work requirements within the deal. These work requirements were supposed to be part of the deal and a meaningful change in the law that was supposed to help things get better, help us not spend as much money, help people get out of poverty, help make sure that we don't have to come back to the well just 18 months or so from now and raise the debt ceiling yet again. Limit, Save, Grow championed a robust approach, acknowledging the importance of promoting self-sufficiency through work requirements. In contrast, this swamp deal that we're actually facing, it offers only token requirements, riddled with exemptions and gradual phase-outs. It's a farce of sorts, a charade that perpetuates the vicious cycle of entitlement, leaving countless Americans trapped in the clutches of dependency. Limit, Save, Grow had significant work requirements for TANF, food stamps, and for Medicaid. This bill strips the Medicaid work requirements altogether. With respect to TANF, it arguably doesn't do much at all, if anything, with respect to food stamps. According to some figures that we're studying from CBO, this arguably costs more money than it saves. In matters of fiscal prudence, Limit, Save, Grow stood firm in its determination to repeal the Democrats' $1.2 trillion Inflation Reduction Act. Talk about Orwellian names. That's one for you. Yet, in its lamentable capitulation, the McCarthy-Biden deal preserves every cent of the Inflation Reduction Act, leaving our nation mired in a quagmire of unsustainable and expensive policies that have done anything but reduce inflation. In fact, when you go throwing around in trillion-dollar increments that you don't have, that's what it does cause, is more inflation, and that's indeed what it has caused. Now, the consequences of this surrender in this bill are grave. If enacted, this bill would grant President Biden everything without meaningful safeguards or provisions to address the pressing issues. While it may be hailed as some sort of triumph of bipartisanship, the American people will ultimately bear the brunt of its shortcomings. You see, not everything that is bipartisan is in fact in the interests of the American people. Bipartisanship and compromise are an inevitability in anything that moves through the United States Congress. Some works to the benefit of the American people, but when members, a small handful of members of Congress, get together and decide what will be easiest for them, what will work best for them, what will make them look the best, without due regard to how it will impact the American people, that, Madam President, is not compromise. That's better described as collusion. Look, it's the American people who will bear the brunt of this bill with the implementation of President Biden's $500 billion student loan plan, a plan which now stands as a testament to President Biden's misplaced priorities, a millstone around the neck of hardworking individuals who will never benefit from such largesse. It's a stark reminder that while the government claims to champion the cause of equality and opportunity, it's very often the very policies it enacts that perpetuate inequality and hinder genuine progress. The hardworking veterans, the diligent plumbers, the countless others made to shoulder the weight of others' degrees, often degrees of people who now earn a whole lot of money, while relegating their own aspirations and dreams to the sidelines. It's a profound injustice when we shift the burden of personal choices and individual responsibilities onto those who have already toiled and sacrificed. That's what we're voting for with this bill. We're saying that it's okay to force those who labor in essential trades to bear the financial burden of others' educational pursuits. This is a patently unfair and bold-faced patronage racket, and like all good rackets, you need your strong-armed collector, and this administration found theirs in the IRS. The egregious expansion of the IRS is epitomized by the Democrats' allocation of $80 billion to this bloated agency with a demonstrated history of unethical targeting of conservative nonprofits, among others. A compromise reached between Biden and McCarthy, which retains 98% of the IRS expansion, 98%, is nothing short of a surrender, an anticipatory capitulation of sorts. It's a thing that is going to cause more problems. And so, armed with a hefty budget and a woke agenda, the IRS will become an even stronger instrument of political bias and partisan manipulation. The merging of ideology and bureaucracy poses a grave threat to the fabric of our republic, eroding the trust and confidence that should underpin our tax system. It might be true that this bill attempts to claw back some of the unspent COVID funds and the CDC global health funding. But while they point to rescinding roughly $28 billion in unspent COVID funds, we must acknowledge that much of that will merely offset spending increases elsewhere. This deal falls woefully short